In June 2020, the body of 17-year-old Brayla Stone was discovered inside a car in Sherwood, Arkansas. What began as a typical summer day quickly shifted into a disturbing investigation that exposed questions about identity, secrecy, and violence. A teenager's life had ended under circumstances that raised suspicions far beyond the crime scene itself. Who was Brayla Stone beyond the headlines? What events unfolded before her final moments? And why did her death echo across the nation as part of a larger and troubling pattern? If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Uncovered, where we examine the cases that shake communities and expose what happens behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Brayla Stone was a 17-year-old black transgender girl from Little Rock, Arkansas. At the time of her death in June 2020, she was in the midst of navigating the challenges of adolescence while also affirming her identity as a transgender individual. She grew up in a typical Arkansas household with family ties that shaped her early years. Reports indicate that her family dynamic reflected both care and tension, particularly around her gender identity. Like many teenagers, Brayla balanced the pressures of school, friendships, and her evolving self-expression within a community that did not always provide understanding. At school, she was seen as a bright but quiet student. Teachers described her as attentive, while peers offered mixed accounts. Some accepted her, while others struggled with or rejected her identity. For transgender youth in Arkansas, classrooms were often spaces where acceptance depended on individual relationships rather than institutional support. Brayla's ambitions included building a stable life as an adult, with dreams of pursuing her future openly. Her goals were not extraordinary, but reflected the desire to live authentically and independently. Friends noted that she expressed hopes of building a career and securing her own place in society. In her community, she was remembered as caring, observant, and resilient. Among friends, she was open about her identity, though careful about where and with whom she shared it. Navigating identity as a young black transgender girl meant that she was simultaneously visible and vulnerable, especially in public spaces where perceptions varied widely. How did her identity shape the way she was perceived in her community? Arkansas presented a difficult environment for a young transgender teenager. The state has historically leaned conservative in culture and politics, leaving limited room for acceptance of LGBTQ+ individuals. For someone like Brayla, this meant balancing visibility with the risk of hostility. Openly transgender youth face challenges, including bullying, exclusion, and threats to personal safety. These conditions shaped daily life decisions, from social circles to the ways they presented themselves publicly. Acceptance was not consistent, and many transgender teens encounter resistance both in their homes and schools. Safety was a constant concern. National reports highlighted that transgender individuals, particularly black transgender women and girls, face heightened risks of violence. In this environment, social media became both a tool of expression and a source of risk. Online platforms allowed transgender youth to connect with others, share their identities, and seek affirmation. At the same time, these platforms also expose them to harassment, exploitation, and potential targeting. The broader context in 2020 included rising violence against transgender women across the United States. Reports from advocacy groups documented record numbers of killings that year, many of which involved young black transgender women. This positioned Brayla's life within a larger national crisis, where identity itself created vulnerability. Did her identity put her at greater risk? And was this a factor in what happened to her? The timeline of Brayla's final day begins with her last known communications. She was reportedly in contact with individuals connected to her social life, and there were suggestions of an arrangement involving money. Messages surfaced indicating that she had met with someone shortly before her death. Accounts suggest she entered a vehicle in the Sherwood area. The individuals she was last seen with were later connected to the investigation. While details remain unclear, evidence pointed toward a planned meeting that may not have unfolded as expected. Reports also indicated speculation of financial exchange, though the specifics of this arrangement have not been fully verified. Whether this meeting was voluntary, coerced, or set up under false pretenses became central to the investigation. Was her death premeditated, or did events escalate beyond control? On June 25, 2020, Brayla's body was discovered in Sherwood, Arkansas. She was found inside a vehicle, leading authorities to immediately classify the case as a homicide. The initial police statements provided limited information, but confirmed that the discovery was suspicious. Autopsy reports revealed that she died from blunt force trauma, confirming violent circumstances. The setting, a car parked in a suburban area, indicated that her body had been left there rather than discovered in a more isolated environment. This detail raised questions about the intent of those involved and whether the location was chosen deliberately. What clues did investigators uncover at the scene, and what story did the evidence tell? In the hours after Brayla's death was reported, disturbing information surfaced online. Screenshots began circulating of a man claiming he had been paid to kill Brayla. These posts spread quickly across social media platforms, sparking outrage and speculation. Police acknowledged awareness of the posts but did not immediately confirm their authenticity. The rapid spread of digital claims placed pressure on law enforcement to respond. The public reaction was swift. Advocacy groups and community members demanded accountability, citing the posts as evidence that Brayla's death was linked to a targeted act. The overlap between online claims and the physical crime scene fueled ongoing debates. Did social media reveal the truth, or did it complicate the investigation? The Sherwood Police Department opened a homicide investigation, gathering witness statements and reviewing digital communications. Witnesses confirmed Brayla's last known movements and interactions. Online activity was traced to individuals believed to be connected to the posts about the crime. Investigators linked this activity to a suspect who had reportedly been in contact with Brayla shortly before her death. Legal charges were filed against the identified suspect. Court documents outlined evidence connecting them to Brayla's final hours, though complete details of motive and arrangement remain contested. Was justice pursued with urgency, or did gaps in the investigation delay accountability? The discovery of Brayla's death generated local shock. Vigils were held in her memory, with community members calling for justice and recognition of her identity. National organizations, including the Human Rights Campaign, highlighted her case as part of a disturbing wave of violence against Black transgender women in 2020. Media outlets reported on the broader pattern, situating Brayla's death within a national crisis. On social media, hashtags demanding justice circulated widely. The attention brought greater scrutiny to how law enforcement handled her case. Did the national spotlight bring progress, or did it reveal deeper systemic failures? The suspect identified faced charges in connection with Brayla's death. Prosecutors framed the case as a homicide with aggravating circumstances. Court proceedings involved hearings, evidence presentation, and eventual legal outcomes. Reports indicate that plea agreements and sentencing addressed the responsibility of those involved, though not all details were made public. Brayla's family responded to the judicial process, navigating both grief and the search for accountability. Did the courts deliver accountability, or did unanswered questions remain? Brayla's death was one among dozens of killings of transgender individuals in 2020, which became one of the deadliest years on record. Data revealed patterns. Most victims were Black or Latina, many were under 30, and the majority were killed in violent attacks. Disparities persisted in how such cases were reported and investigated, often misgendering victims or minimizing identity as a factor. Advocates used these patterns to call for stronger protections, hate crime recognition, and resources for transgender youth. How many more stories like Brayla's remain unheard or unresolved? Brayla Stone is remembered by friends, family, and activists as a teenager whose life ended prematurely. Her case became a symbol within larger conversations about transgender safety in Arkansas and nationwide. Advocacy groups cited her death in efforts to promote legal protections and visibility for transgender individuals. Community members continue to reference her name in discussions of justice and equality. The long-term effect of her story has been to raise awareness and highlight the need for systemic change. What lessons can be drawn from Brayla's case, and how can they prevent future tragedies? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.